tell you another thing. When you're dealing with older people, they're the last to know that things have changed. We not your little, like the way you talking. I don't get what you mean. We're not your little. It's like
Mase just dropped a bombshell that nobody saw coming. He leaked a private phone call between J. Prince and Takeoff, a call that was supposed to stay locked away forever. Now that it's out, J. Prince looks cornered, spitting out threats, scrambling with panicked statements, and throwing out desperate attempts at damage control. But Mase didn't stop there. He swung back with heavy shots, saying out loud what people have been whispering for years, and the timing? Pure chaos. The streets are still unsettled about what really went down in Houston the night Takeoff tragically lost his life. The footage never lined up, witnesses went ghost, and two names have never left the conversation: J. Prince Jr. and DJ Pat. Now this leaked call flips the whole story upside down. If what Mase is claiming turns out to be true, we're not just talking about reputation damage or sloppy PR stunts. This hints at something way darker. It paints a picture of a possible cover-up that could completely rewrite the narrative and drag Prince into a scandal too big to dodge. And the internet is adding fuel to the fire. Fans are digging up old tweets, clips from podcasts where veiled threats were dropped, and even shady-looking documents connected to suspicious bail deals. The receipts are piling up fast, and the streets are eating it alive. People online are roasting Prince, calling him a fake community leader, while others are going even further, labeling him like a cartel-style figure who crushes anyone standing in his path. These accusations aren't lightweight. They're bloody, they're brutal, and they're shaking the entire hip-hop scene. This is no hype. This is real heat. This is raw, uncut street drama, the kind that cuts straight into Takeoff's final hours. It's about mob ties, loyalty, and why J. Prince suddenly looks more rattled than ever. For the longest time, Mase sat back cool, letting Prince toss out little subliminals without ever clapping back. But once Prince started talking slick on $1 million worth of game, the gloves got ripped off quick. Mase and Cameron had both stayed quiet about Houston's messy business, keeping their distance from the whispers, until Prince crossed a line that couldn't be ignored.
You wasn't really right there with Takeoff when he was alive, you know what I mean? So
Mase claims he personally heard that private phone call between J. Prince and Takeoff just hours before the tragedy. And instead of comfort or guidance, he says Prince was applying straight-up pressure, not brotherly advice, but domination, control, and demands about loyalty. According to Mase, when Takeoff pushed back, things turned ugly, fast, and that's why the culture is on edge right now. That so-called call happened the very same night Takeoff was killed outside that Houston bowling alley. A dice game gone wrong, arguments exploding, shots tearing through the air, and the world losing one of the brightest stars in hip-hop at just 28 years old. The second Mase pulled the curtain back, J. Prince started cracking under the heat. He jumped on social media, firing off sharp threats, acting like the victim, and doubling down on the shade he'd already been throwing toward Offset. Prince's message was cold and heavy, basically saying, "You wasn't really there with Takeoff when he was alive. You wasn't really right there with Takeoff when he was alive." That lit up the scene like a spark in a gas tank. It wasn't just Offset firing back. Cardi B stepped in loud for her man, standing shoulder to shoulder. And with Mase now blasting that leaked call wide open, J. Prince's so-called damage control looks shaky, weak, and way too late. The streets already made their judgment, and the internet isn't pulling punches anymore. One tweet hit the hardest. "Nobody respects J. Prince after Takeoff died on his watch." That line spread like wildfire, marking a brutal turning point. Suddenly, people weren't just whispering. They were flat out side-eyeing Prince and mob ties. Then came the shocker. Patrick Xavier Clark, better known as DJ Pat, got scooped up on charges fast, but then stunned everybody by walking out on a $1 million bond like it was nothing. To the public, it looked like someone with major pull made sure he wasn't locked up for long. And it didn't stop there. Rumors started swirling heavy that J. Prince himself walked past Takeoff's body and coldly said, "Call that. Don't ask me none about that." Whether true or not, that detail poured gasoline on a fire that was already out of control. Meanwhile, Whispers claim Jay Prince Jr. pushed to have his name scrubbed completely from DJ Pat's bond paperwork. But here's the real question. Why go to those lengths if you've got nothing to hide? That move looked desperate, like he was running from the smoke. The problem? He was right there that night, and so was Cameron Joshua, aka Lil Cam Fifth, who got scooped up on weapons charges right after Takeoff's death. Another name tied right back to mob ties, and the list keeps getting longer. Too many connections, too many bodies, and yet they still parade around acting innocent. But the streets ain't buying that fairy tale anymore. Not after what happened to Takeoff. The warning signs were flashing way before his murder. Duke the jeweler's death was the blueprint. He flew into Houston, did the so-called check-in with mob ties, sat down at a dice table, and ended up in a casket. Same script every time. Dice, arguments, silence. And just like that, Jay Prince's name always slips into the whispers. That infamous clip of him telling his shotgun man to fall back didn't look random. It looked rehearsed, like the playbook was already written out. Folks can't help but notice the pattern. Houston invites roll in, mob ties demand respect, dice games start, and somebody never walks away alive. Then Prince steps out, wearing the wise man mask, preaching about black-on-black violence and saying grief is the price of love. But now people are asking straight up, where were you when the blood hit the pavement? And here's the detail that turned heads the hardest. Not a single Prince showed up at Takeoff's funeral. That absence spoke louder than words. Fans say the reason is obvious. Too much guilt tied to the tragedy. Meanwhile, Jay Prince Jr. is on Twitter dropping reckless lines like, "Don't wear jewelry around vultures." But if you already knew it was dangerous, why bring Quavo and Takeoff into that setup at all? If mob ties can't even protect their own guests, then what are they really protecting? Word on the streets is Quavo and Jay Prince Jr. got locked in a heated back and forth just minutes before the shots rang out. And now leaked footage shows Prince brushing it off, acting like it wasn't his crew's responsibility. Like Takeoff didn't lose his life under his shadow. That kind of arrogance has fans furious, demanding real accountability. That's when Mase came swinging heavy after Prince took his shots on $1 million worth of game. Mase didn't hold back. He came back harder than ever, ripping straight into Prince's entire image. No sugarcoating, no sidestepping, just raw heat. He said straight up, "We not your little," and called out decades of manipulation built on that so-called check-in culture Prince has been running. And this wasn't just a clapback online, it was a cultural gut punch that hit people deep. The shockwave was real. Even Cameron, usually the cautious one, sat back and let it all unfold. He didn't step in, didn't try to block the hit, didn't soften the blow. He just let Mase cook. And that silence spoke volumes. Fans now believe it proves Mase had that leaked call tucked away in his back pocket, waiting for the perfect moment to strike Prince where it hurt most. And when Prince finally crossed the line, Mase fired the shot. Meanwhile, Offset's patience snapped. The second Prince tried to drag his name, Offset clapped back fast, refusing to let anyone question his love for Takeoff. And right on cue, Cardi B jumped in too, loud, fearless, and unshaken. She sent the clearest message of all. They don't fear mob ties, and Cardi will never play bluff games. That was the breaking point. The moment fans finally woke up and realized this isn't just music politics anymore. Jay Prince just got checked publicly by one of the industry's biggest power couples, and now his untouchable street image is cracking under a microscope for the world to see. The shift is loud if you're paying attention. Big names who once screamed mob ties are now moving in silence, keeping their distance. Look at Drake. He used to be all over their mentions, riding for Jazz Prince, always showing loyalty for that Young Money connect. But now, nothing. No reposts, no shout-outs, no love. Since Takeoff's murder, Drake's been ghosting Jay Prince Jr. completely. Like the whole association turned radioactive overnight. And then there's Jay-Z. Word in the streets is Hav hasn't answered a single Mob Ties peace call since 2023. And if you know Jay, you know he doesn't move messy in public. He just cuts you off clean, no announcements, no drama. He's got billion-dollar brands behind him. And the last thing he wants is his empire getting even a shadow of federal heat from Houston. Now, with Mase exposing private conversations, the silence around Mob Ties is starting to look like guilt by association. Their entire power always came from that check-in culture. Rappers flying into Houston, linking with J. Prince Jr. for so-called safety. But that safety is looking faker by the day. Duke the jeweler checked in, ended up dead. Takeoff checked in, lost his life. And now fans on X are ruthless, tweeting, "This is why nobody checks in anymore. The ones demanding respect can't even protect their own guests." Even artists out west are calling it straight. The whole check-in system is a trap. The so-called check-in game is starting to look like nothing more than a way for local gatekeepers to flex like bosses while putting outsiders in dangerous situations. And when Mase finally said it plain, that Prince is just a failed street Nas cosplaying as a mob boss, the internet ate it up. That label stuck to him like glue, and people haven't let it go since. But here's the biggest hole in the story. The witnesses. Over 40 people were outside 810 billiards and bowling the night Takeoff was shot. A massive crowd, cameras rolling everywhere. Yet almost nobody's testimony has surfaced. Why? Did witnesses get threatened? Did footage mysteriously disappear? The way it looks, everything got cleaned up just enough to make DJ Pat look like the lone fall guy. And the wildest theory circling now? People are saying it wasn't even Takeoff in the middle of the argument. It was Quavo going back and forth with J. Prince Jr. just moments before the gunfire. That detail has fans asking the darkest question yet. Did Takeoff catch a stray and a heated warning gone wrong? Or was his death part of something much bigger and planned all along?
Dealing with older people, they're the last to know that things have changed. We not your little, like the way you talking, I don't get what you mean.
Now here's where things take a shocking twist. Insiders tied to Mase and Cam are whispering that the call between Prince and Takeoff might not just be hearsay. It might actually be on tape. Maybe it was recorded by accident, maybe someone hit record on purpose, but word is that audio exists. And if that tape leaks, Mase and Cam could be sitting on the ultimate hammer, waiting for the perfect moment to drop it and shake the whole game upside down. Prince is looking finished, because the real question is, what exactly was said on that call? Did he threaten Takeoff? Did he try to pressure him into something he wasn't feeling? This ain't coming from some random troll chasing clout. This is Mase, the same man who stood up to Diddy, walked away from the industry, and then came back swinging harder than ever. If the world ever hears that recording, J. Prince's empire could collapse overnight. And let's be clear, this isn't just hip-hop beef anymore. This is the kind of scandal that makes the feds tune in. They don't care about street legends. They care about patterns, alleged threats, whispers of witness tampering, organized crime setups. Every word Prince or his sons let slip on podcasts is being clipped, cataloged, and filed away. And now that Mase has spoken out, you better believe the feds are leaning in closer than ever before. Offset, Cameron, Mase, and millions of fans are pointing the finger directly. And if Prince's name ever shows up on official paperwork tied to this mess, no record label can cover it, no city can shield him, and no check-in system has enough muscle to block federal law. But through all the chaos, we can't forget who this is really about. Takeoff, a peaceful soul, the quiet genius of Migos. He wasn't chasing headlines, he wasn't built for beef. He was about family, music, and good vibes. The tragedy is that his life ended at a dice game, surrounded by people who claimed to love him. And while Prince went online posting condolences, writing that grief is the price of love, the streets can't help but feel the weight of that loss in a much darker way. But fans weren't buying those poetic words. They saw them as hollow. How could grief be the price of love when Takeoff lost his life standing in the circle of people claiming to protect him? The hypocrisy was too loud to ignore, and the backlash hit Prince harder than ever. Social media turned ruthless, dragging him with non-stop posts, clips, and theories. Every old interview, every shady comment, every subtle flex got dragged back up and replayed like evidence. And the wild part? Each piece made the puzzle look darker. To the public, Prince wasn't mourning. He was maneuvering. Rumors kept swirling that the family skipped Takeoff's funeral not out of respect, but out of guilt. Fans pointed out how mob ties kept silent at the very moments that mattered most, like they were afraid of being seen in the same room with the consequences of their own actions. Meanwhile, whispers from industry insiders say big names in rap are pulling away faster than ever. Promoters are nervous, labels are cautious, and artists are refusing to check in when they land in Houston. What used to be seen as a badge of protection now looks like a trap, a setup where safety is promised, but blood ends up spilled. And just when you think it can't get heavier, word spreads that Mase and Cam might not even be done yet. That leaked call might only be the start. Some claim there are more receipts, more recordings, more dirt tucked away, waiting for the perfect moment to blow the whole mob ties empire to pieces. But let's keep it real. Nobody respects poetic lines when blood spills under your watch. The streets don't care about captions or long podcast speeches. They want answers, the full truth, nothing less. And Mase, he cracked the whole dam wide open. His clapback wasn't just about defending his name, it was about ripping apart the aura of fear that J. Prince built up for decades. Now that illusion is breaking piece by piece, the leaked calls, the federal heat creeping in, the artists stepping back, the silence of key witnesses, it's all pushing the narrative out of Prince's hands. He snapped, Mase struck back, and now every eye is locked on what comes next. So drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Because what's coming down the pipeline is even crazier, and you won't want to miss it.